This morning, President Biden and the First Lady are going to be in Uvalde, Texas, to meet with families impacted by Tuesday's deadly mass shooting. Here's another live look at that growing memorial outside Robb Elementary School. That is where 19 third and fourth graders, along with 2 teachers, were gunned down on Tuesday. Now, today, the Bidens are also expected to meet with first responders and also later attend a church service in that community.
Now, as far as the investigation goes, Texas officials trying to clear up some confusion about the timeline of the shooting. They say on Tuesday the 18-year-old gunman was inside the classroom for 77 minutes before officers entered and killed him. During that time, investigators say he discharged 315 rounds of ammunition. They say the 18-year-old fired hundreds of those rounds within the first 4 minutes of his arrival in the classroom. Officials with the school district say they held an active shooter training just 2 months ago. Uvalde's district attorney says she will decide on any possible charges once the investigations are complete.
It's important to look at these young faces. We are learning more about the 21 people who were killed in this horrific attack. The parents of some of these third and fourth graders say that their kids were just excited because summer break was going to happen in just a few days. As a small Texas town continues to mourn, some communities in Southern California are also holding vigils. Eyewitness News reporter Leanne Suter has the latest.
Xavier Javier Lopez, 10. Amari Joe Garza.
A heartbreaking roll call as the names of the 21 victims of the massacre in Texas are read aloud. Those gathering for the gun violence vigil in Woodland Hills grieving the innocent lives lost and the epidemic of mass shootings in this country.
He heard about what happened and asked, is that what I would do in a lockdown? Is that what lockdowns are for? And unfortunately, yes, that's what you practice. And for an 8-year-old to know that our society is really failing our children.
What kind of country thinks that it's too dangerous to trust an 18-year-old with a six-pack of Coors, but it's fine for an 18-year-old to buy an arsenal of weapons?
It's our responsibility to do the right thing when others won't.
In Hollywood, a call for change as community members unite in their grief and frustration.
We want to come together and create a safe space for everybody to just mourn and grieve on these travesties, come together in a sense of healing before talking about what are the next steps and how do we get a solution so that things like this don't happen again.
Several community organizations gathering together for the vigil and rally at Sunset and Vine. The victims of the deadly violence in Texas certainly at the front of their minds, but they also honored those lost in the 2 previous mass shootings in Buffalo at the grocery store and at a church in Laguna Woods. 3 mass shootings happening back to back over a matter of 12 days. Those turning out say voters must make their voices heard in demanding lawmakers finally enact stricter gun regulations.
I think the majority of people are absolutely fed up. I'm tired of grieving. I'm tired of my grief being a soundbite. I don't just want to make sure my voice is heard. I want to ask my representatives to take action on the things that a majority of Americans want.
Leanne Suter, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
And we have been hearing a lot about this statistic that close to 90% of Americans are in favor of certain gun control reform measures. And this morning, we're taking a deeper look.
Yeah, this poll shows, it was done by ABC News and the Washington Post in 2019, that of those surveyed, 89% had said that they supported requiring universal background checks. 86% supported red flag laws. Now, these are laws that would allow family members to ask a court to temporarily remove a gun from someone's possession if they thought they posed a danger to themselves or to others. The favorability, though, drops down to 60%, who said that they would support banning high-capacity magazines. 56% said they would support banning the sale of assault weapons.
Meanwhile, a special victims canine response team from the San Bernardino County DA's office is now in Uvalde, Texas. Crisis response canines Lupe and Dozer are there to support victims of the mass shooting at Robb Elementary, and of course their families too. And stay with Eyewitness News for continuing coverage of the tragedy in Texas.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC7 content by clicking the subscribe button for our YouTube channel. And download the ABC7 Los Angeles streaming app on Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, and Roku to watch on your TV.